Okay, so this video is here to explain what happens when you have Mars in the 12th house in your birth chart. So what is the 12th house in astrology? The 12th house is ruled by Pisces and Jupiter. The 12th house represents foreign lands, isolation, imprisonment, spirituality, and it represents places like jail or hospitals or like another country, a foreign land, because the third house is short distance travel. That's like maybe traveling, within your state or a state or two away. The ninth house is long distance travel. That's like traveling, throughout the country. And then the 12th house is also known as foreign lands, associated with foreign lands or another country. So the 12th house can represent areas and places that you are unfamiliar with, or it could literally represent, like another country. So yeah, that's basically what the 12th house represent. The reason it's associated with spirituality and imprisonment because, it's through imprisonment. It's through solitude, whether it's being in a rehabilitation center, in like a hospital where you're having near-death experiences, or wherever you're in jail, sitting down for a long time. Is at these pivotal points in a person's life where they become very spiritual and philosophical when they have these near-death experiences, or when they are really low in life, or when they're in prison in solitude, they become very spiritual and philosophical and stuff. Which makes sense because, like I said, Jupiter rules this house, and Pisces is a very spiritual sign. So, what is Mars? Mars represents brothers, male friends. It represents our energy. It represents fire. It represents weapons. It represents debt. It represents losses. So, one thing we see when Mars goes into the 12th house is that someone here could have they could have a desire to just want to travel and just travel the world and just roam. Just maybe just aimlessly travel, because you see Mars is sitting in the 12th house of foreign lands and isolation, and Mars is fourth aspect, because Mars aspects the fourth and the 8th house from itself. Mars's fourth aspect is on the third house of short distance travel, and Mars's 8th aspect is on the 7th house of relationships. But the 7th house not only also represents relationships, one of the few hidden meanings that the 7th house also represents, it represents, it also represents it's also a house of, like, vehicles of long distance transportation, like an airplane, like a train, like a boat, a yacht, or luxury, possessions like a mansion. Because from the 4th house is the 7th house, and the 4th house represents, one of the things represents is our home and our properties, like a car and stuff. But 4 places from the 4th house is the 7th house. So therefore, the 7th house is the higher version of the 4th house. So the 7th house represents also luxury vehicles and transportation, or larger homes and larger vehicles and larger transportations and stuff. So with Mars's 8th aspect looking at the 7th house, Mars being in the 12th house can just make someone really love to travel and just get away from the world and stuff. Mars being in the 12th house could potentially make someone maybe want to take a lot of trips with their partner, with their mate, because it's looking at the 7th house of relationships, marriage, and partnership. Someone with Mars in the 12th house, they could also be very maybe creative when it comes to writing or working with their hands. Very intuitive and creative when it comes to writing or working with their hands, because the 12th house can also represent like the subconscious. The 12th house is spiritual, and Mars's 4th aspect goes into the 3rd house of written communication and short distance travel. And like I said, the 3rd house is written communication. The 3rd house represents your hands, and Mars represents weapons and tools and stuff. So I don't know, some of Mars in the 12th house, they might be maybe potentially a very skilled artist when it comes to maybe it could be a very skilled writer, or they could be someone who's just very good at crafting things and sculpting things with their hands or with tools and stuff, with Mars in the 12th house. Mars in the 12th house can make someone potentially very inclined to wanting to direct their energy to spirituality. You know, they might just maybe want to find God through isolation or through traveling the world with Mars in the 12th house. Mars is a significator of debt, and in the 12th house is a house that's associated with loss too. So some of Mars in the 12th house, they might give potentially a lot of their energy or a lot of their wealth away to other people. They might give a lot of their wealth and their time and energy to service to other people, especially with Mars's 7th aspect, because it's right across from the 6th house, with an aspect in the 6th house, which represents the 6th house. The 6th house can represent like charity and debts, because you know you're giving the 6th house's routine everyday works, things that we do on a routine, regular, everyday basis, like a 9-to-5 job, which is you giving your energy away for someone else, towards something, you know. So yeah, Mars in the 12th house can become very, you know, generous with its wealth. And like I said, the 12th house can also represent like jails and hospitals, so might give a lot of their wealth away, or a lot of their service and time away to I don't know, donating to hospitals, or maybe working at a jail, or maybe being like a security guard at a jail or at a hospital. Mars can also become very sexual in the 12th house, even though Venus is, you know, more so of a sexual planet. Mars naturally rules the 8th house in Scorpio, which represents sex, death, and the sexual organs. So Mars representing debts and losses, and sitting in a house of losses and aspect in the 7th house, can make someone with Mars in the 12th house very prone to sexual encounters and affairs, and giving their energy away sexually to a lot of people, potentially with Mars in the 12th house. But that's all I got to say when it comes to Mars in the 12th house. Hope this gave you some insight and clarity on what to expect if you have Mars in the 12th house. Thank you for watching.